The room buzzed with laughter, glasses clinking, forks scraping plates. Derek's birthday dinner was in full swing, surrounded by friends, co-workers, and distant relatives. The kind of crowd you put on your best smile for. I sat across from him, watching silently. Derek always loved attention, and tonight he was glowing, telling stories too loudly, throwing his arm around everyone, grinning like he owned the world. But it wasn't his grin that made my stomach turn. It was how he kept looking at Melissa. Melissa, my best friend since college, who used to cry on my couch after bad breakups, who held my hair back during hangovers, who swore Derek wasn't her type. She was wearing red lipstick, heels, the kind of dress you don't wear to a married man's birthday unless you're making a point. They thought they were being slick, shared glances, the subtle hand brush when she passed him a drink. But I'd seen it all long before tonight. Then he did it, right in front of everyone. In the middle of the toast while someone was snapping photos, Derek leaned over and kissed her. Not a cheap kiss, not a friendly peck. A kiss, slow, smug. The table went silent. Forks froze midair. Someone gasped. Melissa blinked wide-eyed like she wasn't expecting it, but she didn't pull away. She just smiled. Derek looked at me, waiting for the breakdown, for tears, for the scene he thought would make him feel powerful. I didn't give him that. I smiled, reached into my purse, pulled out the envelope I'd been carrying for weeks, waiting for the right moment. I placed it on the table right in front of him, nice and neat. "Sign these when you get a moment," I said. His face dropped. Melissa stared, confused. Someone coughed awkwardly. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked out, leaving them and the silence behind me. That's not where the story begins, though. Let me tell you how we got here. It wasn't always bad. In the beginning, Derek made me feel like the center of the universe. He'd bring flowers for no reason, leave little notes in my pockets, plan spontaneous weekend getaways. He made everything feel urgent, intense, like we had to grab onto each other before the world caught on. It felt like love, the kind you read about, the kind people envy. But then it shifted, slowly, subtly. At first, it was little things. He didn't like how much time I spent with friends. He said they were bad influences, that they didn't support our relationship. He never directly told me to stop seeing them, but every time I'd come back from lunch with someone, he'd ask, "So what lies did they tell you about me this time?" It got easier to cancel, to stay home, to avoid the drama. Except for Melissa. She was the only one he never complained about. He always greeted her with a big smile, hugged her a little too long, called her Mel. I thought it was sweet at first, how my best friend and husband got along so well. Now I can't believe I ever thought that. Looking back, there were so many red flags I waved away. The late-night work calls that always came after I went to bed. The texts he hid the screen from. The sudden ATM withdrawals when he swore he hadn't spent anything. Once I found a strange charge on our credit card. A hotel an hour away. When I asked about it, he laughed, said it must have been fraud. I believed him. Or maybe I just wanted to. Every time I brought up something that didn't sit right, he'd twist it, accuse me of being dramatic, jealous, needy. "You're being paranoid, Aaron. You never used to be so insecure. You really think I'd do that to you?" And every time I'd fold, apologize, doubt myself. Melissa was always there with a sympathetic ear. She'd nod, sip her wine, and say, "He's under a lot of stress. Just give him space. You don't want to push him away." Bad advice wrapped in kindness. She was the one I vented to when I felt like I was losing my mind. And the whole time, she knew. She was the reason. It's sick, really, how betrayal can wear a friendly face and carry a glass of wine in your kitchen. But I didn't see it. Not then. It was supposed to be just another laundry day. Derek had flown to Chicago for a finance conference, or so he said, and I was cleaning up the bedroom, trying to keep busy. His gym bag was shoved under the bed, half zipped. Normally, I never touch his things, but something made me reach inside. That's when I found the hotel receipt. A printed slip, folded neatly. A luxury hotel in the city, not Chicago, just 2 hours away from home. The room had been booked for 2 nights under his name. On a weekend, he claimed to be in a seminar out of state. I sat on the bed holding that paper like it was a live wire. My heart didn't pound. It didn't even ache. It just slowed, like my body already knew. When he got home, I waited, asked casually, "Hey, how was the conference?" He launched into a boring story about a panel on risk assessment. Lies flowed out of him with no effort. Then I showed him the receipt. His face didn't change. Not a flinch. He just shrugged and said, "Oh, that? Yeah, I booked it for a client. One of the guys from work. His wife wanted a weekend away. I used my points." He was so smooth, so confident. He even laughed like I was silly for questioning him. "You really think I'd take someone to a hotel in the same state? Come on, Aaron." And part of me wanted to believe that, to think I was just being paranoid again. Until 2 days later, when I was tossing his gym clothes into the washer and something small slid out of the side pocket. A delicate gold bracelet, thin, expensive, with a tiny charm shaped like a heart. It wasn't mine. Derek had never bought me jewelry like that. This time I didn't ask, I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I opened a private folder on my laptop and started scanning everything. Receipts, texts, bank statements. I backed up phone records, took photos of anything suspicious. If he was going to lie, I was going to let him. But I'd be ready. It started with the smallest things. Harmless at first. Melissa would mention something Derek had done or said, and I'd pause, wondering when I ever told her that. "Oh, isn't that the same client Derek had lunch with last week?" she asked one afternoon over coffee. I blinked. I'd never mentioned that lunch to her. He'd barely even mentioned it to me. Another time, she commented on the way he smelled. Some designer cologne I'd never heard of. "That scent he wears now, it's so strong, right?" she said, wrinkling her nose like it was an inside joke. But he didn't wear it around me. Then came the joke. Some dumb thing about football and spreadsheets Derek thought was hilarious. I'd heard it once, a few nights ago, while he was half drunk on whiskey and making no sense. Melissa brought it up a few days later and laughed like they'd shared it together. That's when it hit me. She didn't just know things. She knew things only someone close to him would know. Close in ways I wasn't anymore. The bracelet, the hotel, the late nights, and now this. I needed proof. Real proof. Something undeniable. So I decided to test her. One night while Derek was home sick with the flu, curled up in bed, pale and groaning, I sent Melissa a casual message. "Ugh, Derek had to fly to New York today for a last-minute meeting. Hope he doesn't get anyone sick on the plane." She responded within seconds. "Poor guy, that's so stressful. Hope the meeting goes okay." I waited a few hours. Later, while Derek snored on the couch beside me, I borrowed his phone. He was too sick to notice. I scrolled. There it was. A message from Melissa, sent 30 minutes after I texted her. "Sorry you're stuck here and not in NY, babe. Let me know if you need anything." Babe. She called him babe. I stared at that word for a long time. It looked so small on the screen. So normal. Like it belonged. Like this wasn't even a secret between them anymore. I didn't cry. I saved the screenshot, emailed it to myself, then got up, pulled the blanket over Derek, and tucked him in like nothing had happened. Let them keep lying. I was just getting started. I told myself I needed peace of mind, but really I already knew. I wasn't looking for answers. I was looking for evidence. Something concrete. Something that would hold up when I finally decided to burn it all down. So I hired a private investigator. His name was Scott. Middle-aged, quiet, no nonsense. The kind of guy who didn't blink when I told him I suspected my husband was cheating with my best friend. He just nodded and said, "Let's find out for sure." It only took him 2 weeks. When he came back, he brought a folder. Thick, heavy, full of truth. I opened it in silence, flipping through the photos slowly. Derek and Melissa walking side by side outside a boutique hotel near the lake. Derek with his arm around her shoulders. Melissa leaning into him, laughing. Another photo, the two of them checking into a cozy cabin. Only one suitcase between them. There were more. A shopping trip, lunches, him kissing her forehead at a gas station like it was the most normal thing in the world. They weren't even trying to hide it. But it wasn't just the pictures. Scott had also traced Derek's financial activity, hidden accounts, quiet transfers from our joint funds, to a private bank account under Derek's name. Thousands of dollars slowly and carefully moved over months. He even found one wire marked investment consulting. Melissa's name was listed in the memo line. I sat there for a long time after Scott left, staring at the pile of paper on my kitchen table. This wasn't just cheating. It was betrayal on every level. Financial, emotional, personal. Melissa had helped him bleed me dry while smiling in my face. I didn't confront him. I didn't rage or accuse or even drop a hint. I called a lawyer the next morning. She specialized in high-asset divorces and knew exactly what to do. I handed over everything, every receipt, every photo, every trace of fraud. She told me to wait, to let it build. And I did. Quietly, carefully. I began to plan. If they wanted to play dirty, they had no idea who they were up against. Once I had everything I needed, I shifted from surviving to planning. The first thing I did was open a private bank account in my name only. I moved my paychecks there, redirected automatic payments, slowly untangled my finances from his without raising suspicion. Every transaction I made was small, quiet, intentional, like slipping out of a trap one finger at a time. Then came the house. It was in both our names, but my dad had co-signed when we first bought it. I called in that favor. With his help and my lawyer's guidance, we filed the necessary paperwork to quietly transfer Derek off the deed. There was just enough leverage with the fraud documentation to push it through. Derek didn't even notice. He never paid attention to details that didn't benefit him. Next, I brought in my brother. Caleb was always the tech guy in the family. Nerdy, brilliant, loyal to the bone. I told him everything. He didn't say much, just clenched his jaw and nodded. He backed up all the files from my laptop and phone. Texts, emails, call logs, screenshots, bank statements. Everything got triple stored. USB, cloud, encrypted folder. He even installed tracking software on Derek's computer to make sure he didn't catch wind of anything. By then, my lawyer had a full file prepared. She told me not to strike yet. Wait for maximum impact, she said. Someplace public, controlled. Let him expose himself. That's when I knew. Derek's birthday was coming up. He always insisted on a big party. He loved the attention. We hosted every year at our place. Dressed up, catered, over the top. This year would be no different. I sent the invites myself. Melissa, of course. Friends, coworkers, family, even Derek's smug boss. I booked the catering, ordered the champagne, made everything look perfect. I smiled when I handed Derek the invite list like nothing was wrong. He grinned and kissed my forehead. "You always throw the best parties," he said. I just smiled back. If only he knew what I was actually planning. The house was full. Laughter, music, glasses clinking. Derek's birthday party was exactly what he wanted. People packed every room, drinks flowed, and he was soaking in all the attention. I smiled, made small talk, topped off champagne flutes. No one could tell. I played the perfect wife one last time. Melissa was there, of course, in another too-tight dress. She stayed close to Derek all evening, giggling at his jokes, brushing against him like she didn't care who noticed. Maybe she really didn't. At one point, she even winked at me. I just smiled back. When it came time for the toast, Derek clinked his glass loudly and stood on a chair like a showman. He thanked everyone for coming, cracked a few jokes, and gave me a sloppy little peck on the cheek. Then, as if he couldn't help himself, he reached for Melissa. He pulled her close and kissed her. Not a shy kiss, a full, slow, showy kiss right in front of everyone. The room went quiet. Melissa pulled back, blinking, trying to laugh it off. But nobody else laughed. There were confused stares, a few raised brows. A couple people looked at me, waiting for an explosion. Instead, I calmly walked to the table near the cake, opened my clutch, and took out a neat white envelope. I walked over to Derek and handed it to him like I was passing him a birthday card. "Happy birthday," I said. "Sign these when you get a moment." He frowned and opened it. His face dropped. For the first time that night, he looked sober. Melissa leaned over to look, then jerked back like it burned her. I turned to the room, still calm. "I've been waiting to see that. Thanks for the evidence." Then I turned, picked up my coat, and walked out. Behind me, no one spoke. Not even Derek. Just the sound of a party ending. He followed me out the front door, stumbling past stunned guests, calling my name like it was some kind of mistake. Aaron, wait! What the hell is this? You're overreacting. I didn't even slow down, just kept walking to my car. He grabbed my arm before I could open the door. We can talk about this, okay? Don't do anything stupid. I looked him straight in the eye. The locks are already changed. The house is mine now. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. His mouth opened like he had something clever to say, but nothing came out. Back inside, I heard Melissa's voice. Panicked, loud. She knew this whole time. I didn't look back. The next morning, the legal storm hit hard. My lawyer filed for divorce, citing infidelity and emotional distress. She also included the financial records, the hidden bank transfers, the documentation of funds Derek had quietly moved without my knowledge. The same morning, his company got a neatly packed file labeled confidential. His employer took one look at it and placed him on leave. He was under investigation within 24 hours. Melissa didn't fare much better. The court filing became public within days. I didn't leak it. I didn't have to. My lawyer simply made sure copies of the docket were sent to everyone who had been at the party. Every name on the guest list got the truth on paper, signed, stamped, and legal. Melissa was dropped from her firm. Clients didn't want to be associated with her. Word spread fast. Nobody likes a cheater. Even fewer want to work with one. Neither of them dared contact me. What could they say? I didn't respond to the whispers. I didn't feed the gossip. I didn't post anything online or make any statements. I just disappeared from their lives, moved into a quiet place across town, focused on work, kept my head down, let the damage speak for itself. It had been 4 months since the party. I was living in a quiet loft with big windows and creaky floors, the kind of place that felt mine in every way. No shared drawers, no ghosts in the closet, just me, my plants, and peace. Work had picked up. My boss called it a trial by fire kind of year, and I came out of it with a promotion, a raise, and a corner office. I even chopped off my hair, something Derek always said didn't suit me. I looked in the mirror and felt like someone I recognized again. Melissa emailed me once. The subject line just said, please. The message was long, rambling. Apologies, excuses, her version of, it just happened. She even threw in some lines about missing our friendship. I didn't open it twice. I didn't write back. Some people don't deserve closure. They just deserve distance. Derek, on the other hand, had gone from headlines to footnotes. I heard through the grapevine that he'd been fired officially after the audit. Apparently, some of the account transfers crossed ethical lines. He was couch surfing, bouncing between friends who didn't really want him there. Then came the letter from his lawyer. It was polite, formal, and full of desperation, dressed up as negotiation. They wanted to reassess the terms of our divorce settlement, try for something more equitable. I read it twice, then fed it into my shredder. Slowly, just for the satisfaction of watching the words fall apart. For once, I didn't feel angry, just free. Everything he tried to hide, everything he thought I'd never find out, I had turned into fuel. He'd built his castle on lies, and I left with the bricks. Now I woke up every day with quiet mornings, sunlight through clean windows, and no one asking where I'd been or who I'd talked to. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled without pretending. People think revenge is loud, that it's screaming, slamming doors, dramatic speeches. But it's not. Real revenge is silent. It's walking away while they're still trying to figure out what just happened. It's knowing they have to sit in the mess they made without you there to clean it up. That night at the party when Derek kissed Melissa, I didn't feel hurt. Not even a little. I'd already gone through the heartbreak in private weeks earlier. What I felt in that moment wasn't pain. It was power. A calm, steady power that came from knowing I had already won. There's something about seeing someone finally unmasked. Not through confrontation, but through their own carelessness. It strips away the illusion. That kiss wasn't shocking. It was confirmation. Confirmation that I was right to stop asking questions. Right to stop begging for honesty from people who only know how to lie. After everything, people still ask me why I didn't scream at him, why I didn't throw something or slap her or cause a scene. because the scene was already happening and they were the stars of it. I didn't need to be part of their drama. I had my own story to write, one where I wasn't the woman holding back tears in the corner, one where I got to walk out with my dignity intact and everything else, money, house, evidence carefully tucked into my lawyer's briefcase. Peace didn't come from watching them fall. It came from no longer caring when they did. Now I walk through the city at night sometimes, just to feel the air. No one waiting at home to question where I've been. No second-guessing myself. Just the rhythm of my steps on the sidewalk and the occasional flicker of streetlights overhead. I pass people laughing, rushing to late dinners or standing on corners talking into phones. And I smile. Not the fake smile I used to wear around him. A real one. Small, quiet, enough. Because I didn't lose a husband. I lost a parasite, and nothing has ever felt more like freedom.